swear, I think women in their 30s, especially late 30s, make the worst decisions ever. So be careful. Be careful. What I mean by that is that, man, it's like we work so hard to get through our 20s and like not get swept in, to get swept into relationships, marriage, children, or any of that stuff that either I didn't want at all or didn't feel ready to do, right? And built my confidence. I mean, I didn't date more or less at all in my 20s, unlike most people. So I'm kind of like a little outlier in that way. But even I got, decentering men before it was a thing, dated myself before there was even a name for that, right? And then get into my mid-30s, and all of a sudden I'm like, babies, should I have babies? Even though I've never wanted babies, still don't want babies, will never want a baby. All of a sudden I just hear my uterus just going, bring, hello, just calling. I don't know if it's my uterus. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, something in there. I think part hormonal and part mostly social conditioning. Being like, what are you gonna do? You're about to turn 40. I swear, I think between 35 and 38 are the hardest years of a lot of women's lives. If you've been raised as a woman, socialized as a woman, or having the baby making stuff, oh God, especially if you don't already have kids and aren't even sure if you want them. But we are going to do a column of a column. What the hell, Mel, or go to Mel, or what's the other one? You got mail. Still taking votes on what y'all like most. Most people seem to like go, what the hell, Mel? But let me know. Before I get into this column of column, and this one actually comes from my Patreon, the top 2 tiers, I tell them stuff I want to do and ask for some of their feedback, because sometimes y'all leave the best comments on YouTube and, across platforms, and I'm like, dang it, I wish I'd thought of that. So I'm going to share those at the end because they're always insightful. And speaking of Patreon, please join my Patreon. Please join it. Even if you can't afford a tier, just join it so you can stay up to date with what's going on, especially when the algorithm is not my friend and you may not see my stuff because you forget I exist because the algorithm just doesn't push you my stuff. But over there, you can at least stay connected to me and my work. Especially right now, my views are so down. They don't even exist on TikTok. They're down on YouTube. So I don't know, maybe it's a summer thing. I hope so. So go over there and just subscribe so I can talk to y'all. Anyway, so let's get into it because I have a lot to say about this. I haven't read this in weeks, but I remember being like, whoa, this is a good one. Okay, so this is from Dear Wendy, and if you've been following me for a while, I do Dear Abby, Dear Carolyn, Dear someone else, I forget their name, and Dear Wendy. They are all very, very different. So Wendy's are usually longer. Dear Wendy, I just turned 37 years old. That's such a dangerous age, y'all. I'm telling you, 37 was probably one of the hardest years of my life. Nothing in particular happened either. I was just lost. I was so lost, but let's see. Let me don't go off on a tangent on the first sentence, Melanie. Okay, all my friends are starting to have babies. This is why you're miserable. Because here's the thing. There's people who have babies in their 20s. Like they get married right out of college if they go to college, and they have babies right away. There's people who have babies. There's people in my high school who had babies. And I'm like, I just remember 10 years ago, someone was like, my baby boy's 18. And I'm like, what? Calculator. How does that math? Oh my God. Anyway, people haven't made, it seems like there's just different categories. And there's people who get married right out of college, have a baby right away, and they are just off into the races of the, I don't even know what it is, but they're in a different galaxy, really. And then there's people who have babies in their early 30s. And then there's this group. And this kind of is more my group because it's most women that are in my world, regardless of what state, I tend to hang out with women who really care about their careers and their independence and want to live their best life. And they're not really sure if they want to have kids, or if they do want to have kids, they know they have to establish themselves in their career so hard that they just have to put it off, especially in places like New York and LA. Like if you know, you know, especially if you're actors, you know, you're like, oh, well, you know, this, I could literally never work again. I mean, every actor, everyone in the film industry thinks that like all the time, but you know, your face and your body are like some of the most important things about you if you're a woman in Hollywood. So this age right here, between 35 and like 42, when all the women who are kind of in my category are like, who never wanted kids or thought maybe, or they all start pushing out a baby. Right? And I'm like, oh, another one. And it's not that I'm not happy for them. It's just, you know, once they get married, if they have a supportive, awesome husband, you'll still see them. But once they have kids, there's a chance you may never see them again. And that usually depends on how awesome or not awesome their husband is. If their husband sucks and makes them a single married mom, you're never seeing that friend again. Your dreams of being an auntie to the kid are over. You will not see them. But some of my friends had kids at this age and like didn't really change that much. And it's because they usually had supportive partners or were single moms. Single moms are the most available people in my life. Single moms have more free time, especially if they have shared custody, than most married moms. And you will never convince me different, unless that married mom has a really awesome partner who is actually a partner and not husband. 4 gave birth in the past month. Oh man, you are screwed. Oh, you're so screwed. Oh my God. She's going to start making some bad decisions. Just this alone. 37, 4 people gave birth in a month. And another is due. Oh, twins this fall. 6 babies among your friends. This right here is why women have children that they don't want. Everybody's doing it. What do I do? Oh my God. I'm telling you, I'm an elementary school teacher going on 12 years, and I always thought I wanted kids. But I always thought I wanted kids. Interesting verb tense there. I always thought I wanted kids. That's different than being like, I've always wanted kids. I've always known I wanted kids. Those are very different than I always thought I wanted kids. But I struggled with dating. A little over a year ago, I chose to date a longtime friend. We've been dating ever since. I was single 6 years prior to that, dating here and there, but with no relationship to speak of. Okay, I'm worried about you. Not worried about you for not dating for 6 years. Nope, good for you. Good for you. What I'm worried about is a little over a year ago, I chose to date a longtime friend. What does that mean? What do you mean you chose to date? Is this some dude you're friends with and you basically were like, hey, because you hadn't been with anyone in 6 years and you saw that tick tock, baby clock? I don't know. It doesn't sound, I mean, this isn't giving like, I'm with an awesome partner I really love. This is like, I didn't date for 6 years and I decided to settle for my friend. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. My partner has a child from a previous marriage and had a vasectomy since then. See, now, maybe she wants to be a mom, but I'm kind of feeling like, I think a lot of times, there's 2 things that might be going here. Sometimes, you know how I say a lot, like whenever we go after unavailable partners, like we realize eventually that we're the unavailable one, because when and if we ever get an available one, it scares the crap out of us and we're like, what's wrong with you? Why do you want me? I hate me. Why do you hate me? You know? So there's that. So why are you dating someone who had a vasectomy and already has a child? Clearly they don't want another kid. Are you doing it because you actually don't want kids? Or is this like a Beauty and the Beast thing where you're going to change him? Because it's usually one of 2 things. Either that's actually you don't want kids and this is a safe choice, or you're desperate and settling. Or both. You got a little Beauty and the Beast here. Change this snipped beast into baby gravy and pumping or whatever. Sorry, y'all. Don't know why that came out of my mouth. Okay, let's keep going. When we first got together, I told him I wanted kids and he said he was open to IUI. I'm guessing that's like reversal of whatever. Sorry, I can't look it up because I'll lose my place. He has since changed his mind. Uh-oh, I feel like I should have been smarter and not had blinders on. I mean, he already has a kid. And he has a vasectomy. He's open to it. But that, y'all, I mean, okay, at least you're admitting you had your blinders on. That's good. I entertained the idea of a life with him without kids, and it seemed better than being chronically, oh no. Stop dating right now. Oh my God. This is why women end up in terrible relationships, being parents even though they don't want to be, being with men who make terrible parents. Oh, this right here. Being with a man who doesn't want to have kids even though I think I want kids, that I seem to have settled for because I just picked one of my friends and whatever. Like the way she's like talking about this dude, I'm not convinced. There's like nothing like, oh, like we're best friends and we're part. Like there's like the But the fear of being chronically single, please remove that. I understand. Doesn't mean that you can't go on dates. Doesn't mean you can have a little bit of hope. Hope is a good thing, but men weaponize our hope. Our hope becomes delusion. Hope and delusion are not the same thing. And one is like keeps you maybe positive a little bit, but realistic, and the other will ruin your life. We have a lot in common. We have mutual friends. Wow, just sounds so. And he is handsome, respectful, and makes me laugh due to his quirky mannerism. Okay, now you're saying some stuff, but something feels off though. I understand why my partner doesn't want kids. His last child was unplanned. Okay. Yep. And he was still a child himself when it happened. Okay. You have all the information you need right now. This man does not. Is this a Beauty and the Beast thing? Oh, I can change him. Because it's seeming that way. His marriage and child financially ruined him. Okay. Okay, but you're like, it's okay to be different with me. He worked 2 jobs in his early 30s. I don't need to change him. I mean, you're saying that, but it doesn't seem like you believe what you're saying. You know, we do this all the time. I am the queen of this. I was like, and all those examples of me dating men, and I was like, I don't want anything serious. And I didn't. But my daddy issues wanted something. Like there's a part of me that desperately wanted, even if I didn't want something serious, I wanted them to want something serious so that I could reject them. And a lot of women say, yeah, it's totally valid casual, you know, but like you're not. You're not. Some of you are. I fully support just dating, having lovers, like whatever you want. Everyone does their own thing, does what feels right for them. Some of us go through phases where we're like, no, I want this, and then no, I just want this, or no, I want this, like celibacy, or like, I want to be a hoe, whatever. I have experienced all of those stages. Most of them, at least. So I can relate to all the stages, but like this thing that we're like, I don't need to change him. But I think you do. And if you don't need to change him, you are trying to change yourself to adapt to him. And that is just as bad, if not worse. That's worse. That's worse. That's way worse. Oh my, of course. Yet here I am, choosing not to leave him and bemoaning the fact that I might not have kids. Okay, well, at least you're calling yourself out here. It is gut-wrenching to imagine a childless future because I really don't know what that would look like. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have children. Just because you don't know what a childless future would look like doesn't mean you should have children. I swear, I could be wrong. Maybe some mothers can chime in here. But based on what mothers who are honest about motherhood with me, and I really appreciate that. The thing that I have heard over and over, because there's whole Reddit posts about women who regret marriage and especially motherhood, because they had no idea, especially parenting with a man who won't do anything, because that is something they had not prepared themselves for, and they have lost everything, their independence, their like everything. And it seems to me that if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. Unless you're like, I want this, it's probably a no. Because we know men will do this all the time. They'll be like, oh no, I mean, I guess, but they know they're not going to parent. It's okay if men feel that way, but when a woman is like, I mean, I'm not crazy about the idea of being a mom, but I guess I'll do it for him. Don't do it, please don't do it. You are going to be doing all the work. That works out okay for men. It works all the time because they were never planning. Even if they wanted to be dads, they won't even parent. But women, you can't. You have to like really want this. I think some women end up thinking they don't want kids, and then they get pregnant, and then they discover that they actually did want this, and then they love it. But I'm just saying, it's a big risk. If you are not prepared to be a single mom, don't have children. I know that's a strong statement, but my mutuals have said it, and I fully agree. If you are not prepared to be a single mom, you're not okay, because this man could die. He could leave you, he could cheat on you, he could just not do anything and not parent at all. So many things could happen. If you are not wanting a child, if you wouldn't still want to be a mother if you were a single mom, maybe you really shouldn't be a mother. I don't know. Only you know. It's something to think about. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Let it fly. Fly away, little birdie. But doing it just because you don't know what else you would do? Come on. I mean, it sounds like maybe you should quit your job. Maybe you hate your job. So many women will like use pregnancy and having children or getting married to fix a much deeper problem of really not being happy in their life. With this job, with this partner, in this town. You know, I mean, honestly, it was 37, 38 is when I finally was like, I don't want to live in this country. I had been feeling it for a really, really long time. And something about seeing 40 come, and I was like, what is it? This transition took me years. You know, and I moved to LA, and I was like, I can try to make it here. And I tried. I did not just on a whim decide to move to Spain. I had to work really hard on that visa. My dad was dying. Like, I had all these factors coming into play. So this was not a decision I took lightly, but it happened between 37, 38. I was like, I felt so lost. And I think that's a good thing. So many women are afraid to sit in this discomfort and just want to get it over with, and they make a crazy decision like, I just got a kid. Please don't do that. If you're only having a kid because you hear tick tock, but it's not because you actually want it, you just don't know what else to do, please. That child will suffer so much. Maybe not, but probably. Because let me tell you something, as a grown adult now, who one of my parents clearly did not want to be a dad and could not hide that fact, didn't even try, really? Didn't want to be a dad. In theory, legacy, like social capital, blah, 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 that's what I'm supposed to do, blah, 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 but like really didn't want to parent. Didn't want to like hang out with me, didn't want to talk to me, didn't ever want to play with me. Like that stuff, it takes years to get over. One of the people who literally made you like not wanting to like be a part of your life. You know, don't do this to your kid. It's bad enough if the dad already doesn't want a kid, but if the mom doesn't too, that kid's so screwed. It's just existentially terrifying empty space. Sit with this. Be patient. Try things out. Do the artist way. Take classes. Start looking something, but don't have a baby. I don't know, maybe take a year off from your job or quit, go back to school or take up a hobby or just do something. Start making small steps to see if maybe that lost empty. Because the thing is that I don't believe in the midlife crisis. I believe it is a midlife reassessment. Midlife, like, oh crap, I might be halfway through my life. I don't know. And I think one of the reasons why this, for me, this time was especially hard is because I saw 40 coming. And and I feel like I got out of like even more pain around this because I was sure I didn't want kids. And even knowing I didn't want kids, never having wanted kids, I still was like, should I have kids? What if I regret not having kids, right? So I can only imagine how hard this is for women who really want children. You know, anyone who just really, really wants to be a parent. And men need to start thinking about this more, right? You know, the anybody who's like blowing loads, y'all need to think your baby gravy is you're affecting things. I did a whole video on that, right? This idea that it's only, you know, that what is elder pregnancy or geriatric pregnancy, whatever. Like, it is both the sperm and the egg that causes all kinds of issues with pregnancies. But please don't think that because you don't know what else to do, just have a baby. I swear, I wish more women, especially if they've never done this, at 37 or 38 would be like, you know what? I'm gonna travel by myself for a few months, or I'm going to take this. I mean, even small things. Take this pottery class. Take an improv class. Take join a drum club. I don't know, whatever it is, but just explore other things because big changes do happen. I know so many women who blow their lives up between the ages of 35 and 40. 40 is easy. You don't have to worry about 40. 40 is easy because you've already like started on the path. It's 35, 36, 37, 38. Watch out. Those years suck. God! If they're just so afraid that they're not going to have kids before, or they're just not, or marriage. Definitely know women who are like, oh my God, I can't turn 40 and not be married. Please, like, stop letting people convince you that a certain age and a certain timeline is where you have to do something. I love that 40, for a lot of people, it tends to be like, maybe you should reassess things. That literally is when I was like, you know what? I am so tired. Like, I'm tired of performing live shows and paying this rent this high to perform like one live show a month in front of just an audience when I really want to be writing. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm tired. Like, I kind of just had to realize what was not working for me and that life's short. So I had the whole like, oh no, 40's coming thing. And then my dad was dying. And that also tends to create an existential crisis in a lot of people, losing a parent, because that makes you also question your own mortality, and also just being like, wow, like my dad is going to die knowing that I was a failed artist and never got anything published, and was still waiting tables at 40. I wasn't waiting tables at 40, and I'm not shaming waiting tables at all, but I was waiting tables to pay rent in LA, and it was ruining my body, and I was so tired of customers treating me like, Kara, I just did a whole video on servers. It was not sustainable. My body was falling apart. It was like, it wasn't worth doing this job I hated to be in LA. So I started thinking of other things. And let me tell you one quick story. I literally, and it's hard to make friends in LA. Everyone's like hustling. If you're successful, you're too busy because you're just working all the time and just in a different world. And if you're not really successful as an artist, whether it's a writer, actor, director, whatever it is you want to do, if you're in LA, it's usually around film or comedy or something. If you're not successful, all you do is perform and work like 4 jobs. So you also don't have time for friendships. It's a very lonely town. And I remember I was laying in bed one night and I heard a helicopter circling my house, because that's how the cops get around there, the big spotlight. And I remember thinking, oh, there must be a criminal on foot around here. And I was like, have I locked my front door? And I was like, oh, I mean, I think I did. I usually do. And then I was like, what if I didn't? I was like, I don't know if I want to get up. And then I was like, what if he comes in and just like murders me? And then I literally was like, well, no one would know for weeks, and I was really like, oh, wow. People on Facebook or whatever might be like, hey, why haven't you posted? But like, no one in LA, except for maybe my roommates upstairs, but I lived in a separate entrance. They may just think I went out of town and didn't tell them. Like, nobody would know for weeks because I had so few friends in LA, and I'm really good at making friends. But I was just like, this town is not working for me. I don't want to be doing this. I want community. I want this. Like, I started being like, what do I want? It took me a few years to figure it out. But I had these epiphanies in these moments where I was like, I don't have to stay here. Okay, what would I do? And figuring it out took a while. But what I did not do is be like, well, what if I regret having kids? I know I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to have a baby with a man who doesn't want a baby. Or, I'm going to go find a man. I'm going to get knocked up. Like, please. Doesn't mean you don't make bold decisions. But the ones that you make that involve a child and involve a man, those could ruin your life. Please do not take those lightly just because you are 37 and are afraid to sit with the discomfort of not knowing. Please take little actions to figure it out, but don't just do something because everyone else is having babies and I don't know what else to do. And what if I regret it? People need, especially moms, need to be more concerned about what if you regret being a mom than regret not having a child. Because I promise you, there are way more women who regret being a mom than they will ever admit openly. They do it on Reddit or they submit to one of my mutuals on TikTok. The story she reads every day, I'm like, oh my God. And you're like, wow, no wonder that woman hates being a mom. And she's like, then they write these so that women will listen. Regretful parents. It's a thing. Google it before you do this. I'm worried that it's 37 is too late for me. I'm worried I won't find anyone else. Okay, I don't even think this is about kids. I don't think this is really about kids. The kids and all your friends having kids is reminding you that you don't have kids, but more importantly, that you don't want to be alone, when you'd rather stick with this guy than parent by yourself as a single person. Or like, I just think, oh my God, tell me I'm wrong. This is just, to me, this is like her literally social conditioning is bullying her into maybe ruining her life. To add to, oh, here we go. What else? To add to the complication, I'm burnt out at quit your job. See, I literally forgot this part. I don't even remember this part when I read this weeks ago. Quit your job. I mean, easier said than done. I know it's not like that easy, right? But people change careers all the time. You know how many people will quit teaching and just work at Starbucks or something for a while? Because I don't even think you make any less money. I mean, teaching is not a well-paid job. You don't have all this paid time off. Someone wrote this in my comments yesterday. Everyone's like, oh, be a teacher. That, all this whole summer off. You don't get paid for those summers. In theory, you do, but you don't. You know how many teachers I know who work through the summer because they have to? So it's not like teaching is this like amazing job where you just can do all this stuff. Clearly, you don't like your job. Start there. Please do not have FOMO for motherhood if you don't truly want motherhood. I cannot imagine teaching and being mom at the same time. Yet I'm terrified to pivot job. Okay, let's fix the job thing first. Take motherhood out of the equation. I know, easier said than done, but I really don't think this woman wants a child. She's thought she wanted children, and she doesn't really say, you know what I'm talking about. Women who really want kids, it comes through in the writing. It comes through when they speak. I cannot relate to this at all, but I hear women talking. They're like, they want it. They want it so bad. They've always wanted it so bad. Maybe some of it's social conditioning, but it seems like it's just like a thing. My sister always wanted to be a mom. She loves being a mom. She also loves working. There was something in her like that she knew she wanted that. And I was like, I can't relate to that at all. And she was like, oh yeah, you definitely shouldn't have kids. She could sense that I clearly didn't want them. And she clearly did. Like, and that sounds like mean, but she wasn't being mean. My sister knows me very well. And I was always like, oh my gosh. She was like, no, cause I am not like nurture. That's not me. I'm so, I literally, I mean, I've always related to men more than women in terms of like, I want to do this. I've taught myself how to be nurturing. It doesn't come naturally to me. That's why I know men can learn this stuff. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to nurture and take care of people. I watch women who are really good at it, or not women, just people, but women tend to be better at it because we were conditioned to do it or taught to do it. Somehow I didn't really learn how to do it very well despite being a woman, but I was still conditioned that I should. I learned how to be a mom from dating that hobo schedule. Then that's when I was like, no, thank you. Definitely no, for sure, I don't want this. Anyway, I'm just not convinced that this woman like has really wanted it. I think, like me, I thought I had to have kids whether I wanted to or not. I remember being on a mountaintop in Ireland, meeting a couple who traveled for the world and I was like, how do you have such a cool life? You guys are like 40. And they're like, we didn't have kids. And I was like, okay. And they're like, that's it. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we didn't have kids. We have time, resources, money. We can do whatever we want because we didn't have kids. And I was like, oh, that's an option? They're like, literally changed my life. I was 21. I was like, I don't have to have kids. I never knew that was an option. And I think a lot of women don't know now it's different, I guess. But in a lot of cultures around the world, that's not an option. You just are supposed to. So then if you have fertility issues or just don't want to be a mom, watch out. Society does not treat you well. What's wrong with you? I wish I had more energy. I'm starting to understand why people tell younger women to have children instead of waiting. I know. Younger moms are going to have more energy, but that's not really the problem here. You hate your job. You're burning out at your job. You don't seem very thrilled about your partner. And the idea of like taking care of a kid is already exhausting. Like, I don't think you want kids. Teaching was easier in my 20s than it is in my 30s. Yeah, okay. I mean, I used to teach in my 20s, outdoor education. I get it. Believe me, I'm throwing these kids around now in my 30s as like the fun aunt, and I'm like, dang, I'm going to throw my back out. Oh, granny. Anyway, I have zero clue how to move forward, but I know I need to make decisions and not just let life happen. That's really what it is. When we become like really passive in our lives and just settle and are like, I guess I'm dating this guy because he's a friend and why not? It's been 6 years. I guess I'll stay at this job even though I'm burning out. I guess I'll have kids because all my friends are. That is called being a passive. You know, in movies, everyone roots for like the hero. And the reason why they root for the hero, I mean, I learned this just literally being in the film industry and being a storyteller. The reason why even like the worst anti-hero, you know why we root for them? Because they take action. Most of the time, a hero doesn't just wait for stuff. Sometimes they react to things, but the ones that we really cheer for are the ones who take action and don't just sit there and feel like, and I say this speaking from experience, whenever I've been the most miserable is when I felt sorry for myself and felt like powerless and helpless. And so I did nothing because it's more comfortable to just feel like stuff's not fair and like whatever, I'm supposed to suffer, than to face my fear. Being miserable but comfortable is way easier. It's more painful, but it's easier than taking actions into the unknown that you're like, what's this gonna? I mean, it's scary, but it's also invigorating. I want to feel empowered with my decision and properly grieve whatever I need to grieve and try to build a good life, even if it is not. So, that's a good attitude. There we go. Okay. You do need to grieve. There is some grieving. If you thought maybe you wanted to be a mom, but you're not like sure, grieve that. A lot of women are collectively grieving the idea of marriage because we were sold on this idea of marriage. And even women who are married are grieving the idea of marriage because they're like, this is not what I signed up for, which is why we're having the great divorce. Hope Peddler, my mutual, thank you for that term. Women are leaving men because they're like, this is not what y'all told us it would be. Even though grandma was a hostage, like, this is not necessarily bad. Like, I can leave, unlike her, but I'm supposed to stay and do literally everything, and this man just does nothing but bring home a paycheck. Like, what? No, thank you. So there's a lot of grief happening right now, and that's normal. It would be not healthy for us to just be like, no, whatever. I mean, I just wanted to get married, but I'm fine. That's like a happiness bully. That's her being like, it's okay. No, grieve. Let yourself grieve. I grieved this. I know them. I can go into this whole story another time. I know the exact moment I grieved this. At a wedding at the age of 32, I was like, well, I guess I'm definitely like not having kids. Don't even think I'm ever getting married. And just really sitting with that. Because I was like, oh, that's right. Everyone else is doing this and I'm not. Okay, I guess this might be like, I'm just going to feel left out. And I don't know, I did some grieving, even though I didn't even want kids. I still had to grieve that. Anyway, I just hate seeing my friends fuss over infants with their attentive husbands. Honey, you need to pay more attention. Maybe they're all just happy, but I promise you, a lot of women are pretending and a lot of these husbands are performing. Do you know how many men will be like such a great dad in public and then at home they won't do anything? So first of all, are you talking to these moms? Have you talked to moms with newborns? I don't know okay. That's not true. I don't know many moms with newborns who aren't like, this sucks. Like, this is like the hardest time. Who are you talking to? Who are you looking at? I think you're living in a lot of delusion. It feels like what? It feels like I'm getting stabbed. What? Like, because you see people like attentive husbands and that, like, oh my God. That's very dramatic. You're being delusional. I promise you, the majority of these women are not happy. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I can't read. Sorry, 37 and clueless. You're clueless, but you don't want to be clueless. And I think that's the problem. Embrace being clueless, but take actions to change something. Because you're in a holding pattern and you're about to make some very big, crazy decisions because you're afraid of the unknown. Now, let's see what some people had to say. Okay, so one of the commenters on my Patreon, who always leaves like really beautiful comments, just pause to read the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But she froze her egg. And she said, I know that's not an option maybe for everybody, but I made that personal decision. So I give myself the freedom to decide whether or not I wanted to have kids with or without a partner in the future. See, I agree with it. Because a lot of women realize, and I currently have a friend doing this right now, having a child without a partner, like use sperm donor and everything. And it is I am so excited to be on this journey. I'm so proud of her. Baby is due in the next several weeks. And like it is one of the most beautiful things I've already witnessed in terms of just this whole process so far. So I love this, but the hit wanting kids just because her friends have kids is FOMO, but staying with a partner who may or not be aligned with her because she feels there's no one else out there is also FOMO. Boom! I think she has to decide which she would regret more at the end of her life. The coin toss, so I've talked about the coin toss before. Let me know if you don't remember that. It's like a really great way to make decisions, honestly. And also, this right here, because we do know that men do this. Seems like she had already decided she wanted kids before she got together with his current partner and even told him about her desire, and he responded that he was open to it. So this may be another classic case of a man just like lying, being like, yeah, maybe, because they just want to say what we want them to hear. Or maybe he really was open to it. But if you really want kids, this is something you need to talk about the person you're dating right away. Anthony and I talked about this like a few weeks in. I was like, okay. Maybe not even a few weeks. I mean, this was like right away because I was like, hey, by the way, because I do not want children. Only because he wants children. He didn't want children. Thank God. If he had wanted children, that would have probably been a deal breaker for me, because I'm not going to be pressured into that. And I also don't want to feel, I don't want him to ever resent me or have any regrets. We are not compatible. We're not compatible if one of us really wants children, the other one really doesn't. Luckily, we both didn't. But this is such an important conversation. So she thinks that he did a bait and switch, and that is totally, totally possible, because we know men do this all the time. The reason I'm not going into that possibility more is because I talk about it a lot. Men will lie, they'll pretend. But I do think, I mean, as she said here, the dude had had kids when he was like really young. He went broke over it. Like, he already has a kid, and it was not a good experience, and he's had a vasectomy. So I really think, yes, it may have been a bait and switch situation, but she doesn't seem like all that crazy about him. And I also think she heard what she wanted to hear. I think it's very similar to so several times I dated a guy, and he was like, I really don't want anything serious. And I was like, yeah, okay, me neither. But I remember thinking like, well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe he'll change your mind if we both end up liking each other. That man never changed his mind. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, it could be both. It could be a bait and switch. And we know that a lot of times we believe what we want to believe, and we miss big red flags. Like, please, y'all, if a man is like, he's already has a kid, and it wasn't a good experience, please don't think that, and he has a vasectomy, please don't think that he's like really gonna, he may say he's open to it, but that doesn't mean he's like seriously gonna consider it. It means he's like, well, maybe. Take that as a no, okay? Because I literally have a friend who went through this, really wanted to be a parent, dated a dude who snipped. He said he might be open to it. I mean, that relationship ended up terrible. I'm so glad she's out of it. But won't be a mom now. So please, stop dating men who have had vasectomies and have a child that seemed traumatizing to them, and thinking they may change their mind and they're open to it. They're not. Please stop believing. Please stop giving men the benefit of the doubt. Please stop thinking they will. Do you know what I mean? Please know what you want and stick to your standards. So I think both are true in this case. And I also am not fully convinced she actually wants to be a mom, because everything about being a mom is literally talking about other moms and feeling left out. None of it is, she has yet to say why she wants to have kids. I have not heard any of that. And when women want to have kids, it comes through in the way they talk about it, and I didn't see it in that. Did you? Anyone? Please tell me. Did you? Am I crazy? By the way, bring, if you've made it this far, I don't know, what is this, like 35 minutes, 40 minutes? Ching, 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 ching. Type that so I know that you listen to this. Okay. Anyway, I love seeing who actually watched the whole thing. It just makes it fun for me. And I think for each other. Anyway. Okay, actually, this comment is pretty long, but it hits so many good points. She also talks about, this right here. I see my friends who get into relationships and adopt their partner's mindset that are totally different from who they were when they were single. It was a very one-sided change without equal influence on each other. That's like, you influence each other, hopefully in good ways. But when it's very one-sided, it is usually not good, especially for women. They end up molding themselves into what their partner wants them to be. It's kind of reminds me of Jane Fonda and all her relationships. Exactly. Y'all know I covered Jane Fonda. I did several videos on her, and she admits this. She literally got with men for what, I think she didn't mold herself because of those men. It seems like, and she realized in retrospect, that they had what she wanted. She wanted a life of activism. And so she kind of used men to get closer to this thing she wanted. She wanted to get closer to nature. Ted Turner brought her that. She wanted to be an activist, and that husband who was awful to her, which is, again, a very cautionary tale of, don't think just because a man is an activist and leftist and open-minded and all that stuff doesn't mean he doesn't treat the women in his life like crap. Sometimes they're the worst. But, and also, so with that in mind, sometimes removing yourself from external pressures and influences like friends who have kids, and also breaking away from your partner, could give you the space and the fresh perspective that you need to decide what you truly want. Boom! If I were her, I would get therapy, seek out new friends who are child-free. Exactly! And single, and also break up with her partner. Okay, I want to add one thing to that. When I went back to Taos, I had moved to New York. I lived in Taos when I was doing my outdoor jobs. I moved to New York, started doing comedy and storytelling. I worked in the film industry, in the art department and stuff, and I was really pursuing my dreams there. And I went back to Taos for 1 year to write and just kind of, because I missed it. And you know what, I literally said this, and I should put it on a t-shirt. Hanging out with friends who all have small children and babies is like cutting. I was like, I love these people and they were all awesome. I love them so much. But women who are in this stage of life, babies, who literally suck the life out of you. And especially, and these are with women who have really awesome partners. But just being a parent, going to baby showers and hanging out with all parents, don't do it if you are single, but especially if you're child free, don't do this. Have some friends who do not have kids. It is like cutting. I was like, maybe that's a dramatic way to put it, but don't do it. I felt so alone and such a loser. I didn't want kids, but I was like, oh, you will literally convince yourself that you want something you do not want, because it is human nature to want to belong. So doesn't mean ditch your friends, but find friends who are similar and are not in this major life-changing thing where they are going to kind of abandon you more or less. They're all going to be talking about the baby food and the breastfeeding and all this stuff, and their lady bits being all blown up or whatever. I don't know. It just sounds like so much trauma happens in this whole thing. You're not going to relate to it. You're going to feel left out. And then you're going to want a baby, even if you don't want a baby. Okay, so this came from one of my other Patreons who is very active and always leaves great comments. Claire, I don't know if you want me to say your name wrong. In life, good and bad comes with everything. She has a one-sided good view of marriage and motherhood, a one-sided view of being child-free, bad. Boom, exactly. And doesn't appear to recognize this. She needs a neutral person to help her look at her options and follow each option to its possible conclusion. Fully agree here. This right here. She's not holding multiple truth, you know what I mean? She's just like, being a mother is going to be good. Being married is going to be good. And that's one reason why I make my content, y'all. I want to show that, again, I was single, with the exception of a couple little relationships and some one night stand, hate forks, blah, blah, blah. I was single, child free always, but single for most of my adult life until I was 42. And I've had the most amazing life. And I do this because I want women who are not sure, or women who hate themselves because they're not doing what everyone else is doing. I want to show another possibility and normalize this. And then Andy added, why did it cut this off? Crap. She needs a therapist, not a boyfriend, and certainly not a child. Her mental health is not good, and Andy also leaves amazing comments. Everyone leaves and I'm not including all the comments on this post, just the ones that stood out to me the most. But all my comments, I love all y'all's comments. Y'all add so much to this. Her mental health is not good, and she's coming from a place of scarcity. Exactly. That's another word I was looking for. If she doesn't have postpartum mental health issues, kids are hard, the sleep deprivation, the crying, her friends are definitely lying to themselves and her too. Oh, exactly. Yep. Andy sees it. Chances of all them having a great babies and husbands is zero. Yep. It feels like it's stabbing when she sees her doting husband's who are you watching? Who are you talking to? Even the most evolved couple, I'm telling you, I talk about this all the time, even the most evolved men are gonna lean into their selfishness or their social conditioning, and you have to fight for yourself, even in the most progressive marriage, to be like, no. I'm telling you. So her idea that they're just so doting and they love him so much and the baby and they just rock a baby, it's BS. So please, If you know, a lot of times I make my content for younger women. A lot of times I make it for older women. You know, I make it for everybody. I make it for the whole spectrum. You know, don't be a hospice wife. Don't let men hijack your life. You know, like live your life. But women, I'm telling you, one of the hardest times in my life. And I thought I was like somehow protected from all this because I didn't want a kid, and also because I had decentered men for so long and lived my best life, that I would not face this like baby crisis and ticking time. Even I faced that feeling of lost. What do I do? What do I want? That's a good moment. It makes you question things and start focusing on things and putting energy into things and taking action. It's all good, but you ain't gonna figure it out overnight. You're not going to figure it out overnight. Don't run away from the discomfort. Don't run away from the questioning. Don't just sit there and be like, I hate my life. Try things out. Seriously, I know that I say the artist way. The artist way is not going to like solve all your problems, but it's one of many tools that gives you like tools or gives you actions you can take to really get in touch with your intuition and what you really want versus what your ego or, you know, family stuff or your mom or your dad or, you know, whoever, give me a grandbaby, you know, whatever, like, all those voices, what your friends are doing. It really helps hold a microphone to what your intuition wants for you. Anything that really, creativity is very healing and is very enlightening. Focus on creativity, journal, do things, just change the energy up. You don't have to quit your job. A lot of people can't. You don't have to move. You don't have to decide to move across the ocean like I did, but it literally, it's once you shift energy by just trying things, then you actually will not feel as depressed because you know that you're figuring it out and you're taking like small steps to figure it out. And you're being a passive hero of your own story rather than a reactionary victim or passive aggressive or passive hero or whatever. So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. This is a very complicated one. There could be a lot of different things, but my opinion is that this woman, maybe she wants to be a mom, but I'm not fully convinced of that. I think it's FOMO. And it's social conditioning, and it might be wanting to be a mother, but if you're not sure, please don't just do that. Just please. You will derail your life because of fear of sitting in the unknown and possibly traumatize a child and possibly end up with a dude who ruins both of your lives. Anyway, like, comment, share, follow my Patreon, and let me know if you hear the comment song. Y'all know I've been really playing around with my comment song because it is where I just get to be fun and just like silly and whatever. Join my Patreon. We have so much cool stuff going on over there. I'm really leaning into collaboration and having guests, and I love doing it, but they're very intense. They are like higher pressure for me, and I really have to think about them. I have to put energy and time into choosing who to do it with, what we're going to talk about. I'm reading Uncultured for the next live, which is coming up on July 21st, I think. I've already announced it, with a best-selling author about cults and how it plays into patriarchy and all these systems. So I love doing lives, but they're on Patreon because they require even more work than I already do every day. And I'm trying to kind of just do a lot of things. And, but I will show the lives on YouTube. I just have to edit them down and whatever. So for right now, they're just for Patreons, but you will see them later. I just don't know how to do like YouTube studio editing. Somebody teach me how. I don't know. Send a link because I can't get it to work. Whatever. Thank you for being here. Make sure that you are subscribed still, because I'm losing followers every day. Not only am I not gaining followers, I'm like losing followers every day. It's bizarre. My views are down, everything's down, and I don't know if it's a summer thing. I hope so. My mutuals say it's happening to them, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for being here. The next several videos are going to be coming from Greece, where I'm finally taking a vacation to go visit my American family. And so you're going to see some crazy backdrops and all kinds of stuff. I'm saving for this trip for a really long time, and I get to see my family and be cool aunt and I see my sister and my stepmom, and just, I don't know, I'm very excited. So I will be posting from over there and sharing a lot on Patreon from there about like travel stuff and whatever. Anyway, thanks for being here. Hey, voila. Hey. Welcome to the comment song. The comment song. The comment song. Welcome to the comment song. The comment song. Hey, leave a comment. Hey, leave a comment, a story, a joke, insight, wisdom, whatever you want. I'm making this song up as I go. Welcome to the comment song. Wrap it up, the comment song. Welcome to the comment song. Your time is running out. Wrap it up. Et voila. Let me know if you heard this.